and good afternoon. Can we go ahead and start our housekeeping, or do we need another minute to transition from our last meeting?
We're ready.
Fantastic. Let's move right into housekeeping, please.
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-2432. That's 909-396-2432. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
Mr. Chair, I would apologize for delaying this meeting. We had a full plate on the other meeting, so I'm looking forward to the presentations here. So it looks like we've got a good agenda.
Yes, and no problem. I was watching on YouTube, so I understand you guys had quite a number of public comments, so I can appreciate that. And thank you for quickly moving to this committee meeting, colleagues and staff. We'll go ahead and start the technology committee meeting for April 18th, and we'll do a roll call, please.
Supervisor Hagman, Mayor Lock-Dawson. Here. Mayor McCallum.
Here.
Board Member Padilla-Campos. Here. Supervisor Nguyen. Did I say that?
She's here, but on mute.
And Chair Rodriguez.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, with that, Supervisor Nguyen that I heard.
Yes, can you hear me?
Fantastic. Welcome, Supervisor. Okay, we'll move on to action item 1. That's execute contract to evaluate performance and emissions of linear generators. And we have a staff report. Please take it away.
Good afternoon, Chair, board members. I'm Sam Chow. I'm a program supervisor in a demonstration group. I'll be bringing you the first item to study the performance and emissions of linear generators. Next slide. So linear generator I see in the picture here is a unique alternative power generation device. You utilize the heat energy from any fuels in the middle and able to drive a piston or a copper coil to generate power in a linear motion, hence the name linear generator. Because of this characteristic, it has potential for higher efficiency by extracting the heat energy well and able to achieve low emissions compared to an internal combustion engine without the need of after treatment. In addition, and using the heat energy, meaning it can operate on any kind of fuel, such as hydrogen, propane, natural gas, diesel, and etc. Linear generator has been extremely popular, more recently more popular as it's been used for temporary power for medium and heavy duty charging depots. Despite its popularity, additional studies are still very much needed to study emissions beyond just natural gas and to see its full emissions profile and performances. Next slide. GTI, the Gas Technology Institute, they have received a California Energy Grant in December 2024 to assess the performance and evaluate emissions of a mainspring energy using renewable fuels. This particular mainspring generator will be installed in Cal State Long Beach's central plant. So this central plant is the central load for the university's electrical loads, as well as heating and hot water systems. The goal is to install this mainspring generator to operate on off-peak hours from times like 4 to 9 p.m. for a period up to 1 year. It'll be operated on wide variety type of fuels, such as renewable natural gas, blends of renewable hydrogen, renewable propane, renewable dimethyl ether. So all of these fuels will be studied and their full emissions profile will be characterized. In addition, the emissions, the heat recovery process will also be further optimized with the installation, the central plant in Cal State Long Beach. So we're seeking to increase the thermal efficiency of the particular mainstream generator as part of the project. Next slide. Here's the proposed project cost. As you can see, majority of the funding is coming from the Energy Commission, the propane research, the propane educational and research council is providing in-kind cost share to offset some of the costs of the fuel, the propane in particular. Utilization of technology development is working together with GTI on the waste heat recovery portion of it. Cal State Long Beach and Mainspring are providing in-kind contribution to this project. South Coast's contribution is $660,000, majority of it assigned to the emissions testing and evaluation portion for total project cost approximately $5 million. Next slide. Yeah, the recommended action is to exit contract with GTI to study the mainstream generator. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, and I'll start with any questions from colleagues.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I might.
Please go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you. How many linear generator manufacturers or designs are there other than Mainspring?
So far, we're aware of 2 companies that make linear generators. Mainspring is more commercialized than the other one, which is Hyliion. Hyliion is more startup phase right now, and we were just told that Hyliion just got their first unit developed, so they're not quite yet on the market.
So will this program tell us only about the Mainspring or about linear generators in general?
Yeah, the technologies between the 2 companies are different. They're both called linear generators, but the way they operate internally is different. So this will tell us about the Mainspring units.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, no, similar lines. I have heard about this technology and other leading ed technologies and overseas in Europe. How do we invite some of these things to do more demo projects? Because we're looking at, infrastructure costs. There's going to be the big portion as we look for these, chargers and fast truck chargers and stuff. If we could get a simpler solution versus digging up streets and bringing in more power lines, this may be something we want to look at, especially for MSRC and others, is to marriage some of these technologies. But I like what Larry was saying. If we could do a broader versus one manufacturer, we certify one, but there's 10 more out there. Can we call upon other ones to submit their designs and maybe do some kind of global study versus just one project?
Yeah, we'll have to think about that. We always would like to cost share. And in this situation, we supported the Energy Commission grant application with GTI. So we are in constant communication with many, many companies. And it's just trying to bring these projects together. I think sometimes is the more difficult part. We do have partnerships with companies like Prologis, for instance, that is very big on developing these truck charging sites. And they are looking at some very novel technologies that we are trying to put some projects together that we hope to bring at some point to the committee.
Great.
Thank you for that question, Supervisor. Any other questions, comments from colleagues? Let's go ahead and go to public comment, please. I'll need help from staff. Do we have any?
Yes, we have one online public comment from Ranji George.
Okay, let's go ahead and take that public comment, please.
Right. Thank you, Chair of the committee, and for the staff for bringing this proposal. It's a very interesting and promising proposal. Only one concern I have, there's a lot of details on how the magnet generates the electricity, a rotating magnet and a stator coil. But there's very little information on how you initiate that rotor generator? How do you actually recover heat, and how do you use the fuel to, get it started and keep it moving? So there's very little in the literature there. So I would have encouraged staff to broaden that paragraph to explain more on the starter end of the technology. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ranji, do we have any other public comments?
Harvey Eder just raised his.
Okay, let's go ahead and take that, please. Go ahead, Harvey.
Hello, I'm Harvey Eder, founder and director of Public Solar Power Coalition. I'd like to ditto everything Ranji said and remind you, he is not only an economist, he's also a physicist, okay, from London School. Listen to what he says. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any other comments that have come online?
No more public comment.
Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close public comment. I'll just echo the sentiments from my colleagues. Linear generators seem to be very promising technology. It's quite a significant investment, $5 million. Glad to see AQMD is also pitching in, of course, and appreciate the public-private partnership, including Mainspring and GTI, of course, Cal State Long Beach. So we'll look forward to seeing the research of alternative fuels and this heat recovery implications as well. Just to clarify, there really are just two main manufacturers of linear generators at this time. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So we'll be working closely with the one that has really the most current use and kind of leading the industry thus far.
Yeah, that would be Mainspring so far. We are in very close conversation with Hyliion, which is the other company that I mentioned. And we did have Mainspring present at this committee, I think it was
Yes.
about a year ago. And I will be asking Hyliion to present at the committee in the near future.
Yeah, it'd be great to collaborate with Hyliion as well. Though that would be kind of the second of the two, and see what opportunities we can explore to work with them and their efforts. But I think it's very promising as to see what has been done in Torrance with the Prologis and their charge stations, and seeing what do we know of any linear generators that are currently in operation that are helping with any operations for different special districts or government agencies at all as of yet. I know that the Torrance example was one kind of a bridging energy capacity while there was infrastructure underway with LA DWP. Do we have any other examples out there now, linear generators and of other notable type of quote bridge examples?
Yeah, so just to clarify, the Torrance site that you're referring to is a Prologis site. What they did is they brought in 10 of these Mainspring generators to charge 50 plugs for heavy-duty Class 8 trucks. So it's completely off-grid site using linear generators and battery storage. The other examples we have that we know about right now are kind of like grocery stores for either backup power or some situations where they need it for prime power.
Okay, there's pilots yet with like water districts or other type of
There may be some of those in the works, but we'd have to look into that. Yeah, I'm not aware of any right now.
okay.
Well, there's a cold storage facility in Colton, I believe, that's using the Mainspring.
Yeah, that might be the Food for Less facility.
Yeah.
I'll move the item, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close discussion and take the roll call vote, please.
Supervisor Hagman,
Hagman, aye.
Mayor Lock Dawson,
Aye.
Mayor McCallum,
Yes.
Board Member Padilla-Campos,
Yes.
Supervisor Nguyen,
Yes.
and Chair Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes.
Okay, fantastic. We'll go to item 2. That'll be a transfer funds for the development of the Carl Moyer Program Grant Management System. And we'll go ahead and go with the staff report, please.
All right, thank you. My name is Yujin Tan. I'm a program supervisor here at the Technology Advancement Office at the South Coast AQMD. I'll be going over item number 2 to transfer funds to support the development and maintenance of the grant management system for our Carl Moyer program. Next slide, please. So as a background, the South Coast AQMD currently manages over 1,900 active projects under the Carl Moyer program. These includes more complex projects such as infrastructure projects that extends through multiple years and calls for staff to track multiple milestones and reporting requirements. Given the scale and complexity of these projects, a comprehensive in-house grant management system is needed to help with project tracking. In response, on February 2024, the board approved $200,000 for the development of the Carl Moyer Program Grant Management System, which is an online application and evaluation platform that's designed to streamline project intake, review, and approval process. Next slide, please. Since then, we have completed the development of the application and evaluation platform, as well as the inspection module that allows for inspectors to seamlessly complete and submit inspection reports. While these are significant steps forward, we do need additional functionalities to develop to fully support the program's operational needs. Next slide, please. Staff is recommending to develop the final phase of the Carl Moyer Grant Management System, which will include a contracting and invoicing module, as well as an annual reporting tracker. Next slide, please. In completing the development of the system, it will help streamline the contracting and invoice process and enable efficient tracking of project milestones and reporting requirements. Additionally, the system will also enhance the transparency for program participants by making project status updates more accessible and easier to follow. Next slide, please. As a recommended action, we are recommending to appropriate up to $135,000 from the Carl Moyer Program Administrative Funds to be used for the development of the Carl Moyer Grant Management System. That concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer questions.
Thanks for that staff report. It's always great to hear any chance we have to streamline. So I'll just say that and open it up to any comments, colleagues.
Just one question, Mr. Chair. When you went out in February 2024, you didn't think about having the other components on it?
So when we went out, we were rolling out by phases. And so in 2024, what we were targeting was to make sure that we have the application process set up, as well as the evaluation process, because we have opened up solicitation for Carl Moyer program, and staff as well as applicants have already been using the system to submit applications to it.
Well, I'm very supportive of the technology. I'm just wondering why we didn't do it, do 350 a year ago and have it done already versus dragging on a software development over a couple year period.
Yeah, it's being built in pieces. So we're trying to complete the development, and then the next cost phase, as we add these pieces, we don't know the certainty of the cost as that starts to be built for the next phase of it. So
Do you anticipate any other phases after this phase?
yes.
Which would be what? It'd be nice to know the total cost of this, versus
Yeah.
dribbling out year by year.
Yeah, this, okay.
Yeah, this one is one of the more final phases. What will be coming up would mainly be any maintenance charges that we see, or if when we're testing, there's any bugs that we need them to change out.
Okay, but no more components, no more modules.
As for now, no, unless something comes up.
I mean, you have a visual, and we go through this a lot of the other hats I'm on, but I'm just saying, I think to the board for transparency, you come out and say, this is our goal. We're doing phase 1, these 3 components, phase 2, these 3 components. Next year, we're going to come back and do something else, but you're being kind of vague in here. So I'm just worrying about it, but I'm supportive of it.
Yeah, just a real quick comment. So the program does change over time, and that requires changes to the system that we have to go back and adjust and cost money to do so.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for that comment. Any other questions or comments, colleagues?
I just wanted to make clear, so this is an internal and an external system? Or this is just internal?
This is both internal and external. So externally, the applicants will be submitting their applications and filling it out online, and we will be receiving it on that end. And then as well, they could also log in to check their status of their project.
And they can invoice through the system too?
Yes.
And report on the system?
Yes.
That's really good. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other comments before we go to public comment? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Any public comments on this item?
No public comments.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close public comment.
I move the item.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and call for the vote, please.
Supervisor Hagman,
Hagman, aye.
Mayor Lock Dawson,
Aye.
Mayor McCallum,
Yes,
Board Member Padilla-Campos,
Yes.
Supervisor Nguyen,
Yes.
and Chair Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the next item, appropriate funds, execute agreement for EV hardware at South Coast Air Quality Management District headquarters, and authorize removal of fixed asset inventory. We have a staff report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone, members of the committee. My name is Vasilios Papapostolou. I'm the Technology Demonstration Manager here at South Coast AQMD. Agenda item 3, appropriate funds, execute agreement for electric vehicle hardware at South Coast AQMD HQ, and authorize removal of fixed assets inventory. Next slide, please. So last January, the board approved to execute a contract with Greenwealth Energy Solutions to replace the existing chargers network and install new EV chargers at our parking lot at South Coast AQMD headquarters. The existing network is no longer under warranty. Many of those chargers out there right now are faulty, non-functional, and very impractical to repair. Next slide, please. So Greenwealth, the selected vendor that has been approved by the board, has sourced a charger donation program called 5-Point EV Charging Station Donation Program. This program is administered by Newhall Land and Farming Company, based off of Valencia in Santa Clarita. And that company includes ChargePoint as the sole hardware and software manufacturer and provider of chargers under their program. The agreement that we need to sign is between the equipment and site owner, AQMD, and the hardware provider, ChargePoint. So we are proposing to enter into this donation agreement between ChargePoint and AQMD to donate the existing old EV chargers that we have out there right now and release the new hardware equipment to Greenwealth so that they can come out and install those when we have removed the old ones. Next slide, please. So recommended actions authorize the appropriation of funds and execute the previously approved contract with Greenwealth from the TAO fiscal year 2024-2025 or fiscal year 2025-2026 budget. Authorize the executive officer to execute an agreement with ChargePoint to donate the old chargers and release the new ones to Greenwealth for installation. And third, declare the old non-operational equipment with asset IDs 4791 and 4922 and authorize the removal of those items from the fixed assets inventory through the donation program. This concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. And any questions, colleagues?
Mr. Chair, if I might, Obviously, we're going to do this in a phased approach.
Replacing the chargers, yes, we will. We have three main sections in our parking lot of these chargers, and we anticipate, if it goes by schedule, 2 weeks, but we'll see how it goes once they start.
I'm sorry, say that again.
It'll be a phased approach, and we anticipate it's going to take 2 weeks to replace these chargers in the parking lot. But we'll see what problems may be encountered as they start here.
You're going to start with CC8?
Probably. That's the plan right now.
And hopefully not interfere with our meetings.
Right. That's going to be taken into consideration when those are replaced.
Okay, thank you. We depend on having the chargers back there.
Thank you for that question. Any others?
I have a couple questions.
Oh, go ahead, Board Member Padilla Campos.
On the recommendation, there's an or on the fiscal year. Just wondering why it's an or.
Yeah, so Green Wealth was approved back in January, and we were anticipating that the work would be completed by this time now. However, we're now in April. We're going to the board if the item is approved in May 2nd. So just in case we go beyond July 31st of this year, which means going into the next fiscal year, we're adding the 2025, 2026 fiscal year to be on the safe side.
Okay, that's normal. I've never seen the or. Is that? And then my other question, can you explain this donation piece? I mean, it's great. It sounds awesome, right? But why would a farming company just donate chargers? Like, how does that work? I'm just curious. And they're not used, right? They're donating new systems.
We are donating the old systems.
Oh, we're donating the old systems to them.
We're giving the old systems,
I thought they were donating to
which
us.
will be repurposed for Second Life. This is how the company operates on this kind of topic. And by doing so, the new chargers will be released to the selected vendor for installation. And
Got
because
it.
the hardware provider is ChargePoint, they need to be involved in the process.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate that clarification. Any other questions or comments, colleagues? Okay, seeing none. These 55 new charging stations, and they are new, they're not repurposed, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and what's the general lifetime of use expected, say for, by way of example, the ones that are being replaced? How long have they been kind of range of use for these 55?
The average lifetime is between 5 and 7 years, but we've learned that they can go anywhere up to 8, 9, 10 years.
Okay, so the ones that we're replacing, these 55, you mentioned they were faulty and non-repairable, so it kind of all range between that 5 and 7 years. Right?
We have chargers out there that have been out there for about a decade now.
Okay.
And the new system will have a 7-year service agreement in place that will come with a new system.
Okay.
7-year service agreement and warranty.
Okay, good to hear. So if something happens in between now and those 7 years, we'll have a warranted. Okay. And then the timeline, as was inquired earlier, just reference to 2 weeks for all 55. What's the general anticipated installation completion?
That's correct. The net time for replacing the existing and installing the all new 55 ones, the net time is 2 weeks.
Okay, great. Well, it's good that we can lead by example and have charging stations that work. So appreciate that. Let's go ahead into a public comment.
There's no public comment.
Okay.
Second.
We'll go ahead and close public comment, and I'll hear a motion in a second. That's great. Let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Supervisor Hagman.
Hagman, aye.
Mayor Locke Dawson.
Aye.
Mayor McCallum.
Yes.
Board Member Padilla Campos.
Yes.
Supervisor Wynn,
Yes.
and Chair Rodriguez.
Yes.
Motion passes 6 ayes.
Fantastic. We'll move on to our fourth item, capture and control system for ocean-going vessel. One of the initiatives I've pushed is encouraged as chair of our committee is to bring forward speakers when we can at our monthly meetings to share details about technology and projects we've funded or partner with. And over the past few meetings, we've heard innovative technology projects such as the Joint Electric Trucks Scaling Initiative, or JETC, or pilot project, and an e-trailer system being utilized as a key component in our electrifications for heavy-duty fleets. And today, I'm excited that we'll be shifting our attention to our ports as we will hear a presentation from Stacks Engineering about a capture and control technology to capture emissions for ocean-going vessels, or in this case, tankers and barges. It's my pleasure to introduce Randall Pasek from Stacks Engineering. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, committee members. It's a pleasure to be back. It's been almost 10 years since I worked here as a staff member at the AQMD. And it was here where I was introduced to this technology. We actually had a federal grant that we were administering to some of the earlier companies that were starting in this space. So it's kind of interesting to come full circle to start with it and then come back and bring to you our success story, which actually I'd be remiss to say that it's because of what this grant that we got from you folks, and it's a big thank you, first and foremost, from Stacks Engineering to get us to this point. So next slide, please. So by way of history, in 2021, the South Coast AQMD awarded Stacks over $10 million to develop a system to control emissions from tankers. And the regulation at that time didn't include tankers that were going to be added in later, and it was a fairly challenging vessel category to treat because they have boilers on them. The technology had advanced at the point where there was technology out there that could do auxiliary engines, which are big diesel engines, the size of locomotives, basically running on these while they're at berth. And the capture and control technology had somewhat advanced and was fairly commercially available. But the boilers are a different animal. They're much more sensitive to back pressure. They're very and they're much larger and much bigger flows. And so this grant was put out there to try to assist the Air Resources Board as they improve or modified their regulation to include a very large category, emission source category. And so we were chosen from a competitive field. And again, thanks for taking the risk on us because we had not built a technology. Our founder had worked on companies since 2004 on the technology, but Stacks Engineering itself we did not have an operating unit at that point. So there was a bit of a risk involved, but and we appreciate you taking the risk and taking the chance on us and having to do it. Next slide, please. So just a little background on what our technology is and how it works. We use a barge, but the barge is just a place to park our technology. We could use it on shore, and sometimes if we make it small enough, we can put it on a trailer of a truck, for example. But the technology that we added to, or our founder, Bob Sharp, had gotten some patents and then some other things. And so this barge that we built with the grant monies was like, we call it 2.0. It was the advancements in the technology that we added to it were significant and substantial and led to a success. For one, we used spuds, which are big metal rods on the edges of the barge. So we can actually drop those into the bottom and it holds our barge in place. Before, you used to have to tie off to the ship, so it limited your abilities to where you could position the barge. The spuds, and there's better pictures of the spuds in the next page. But so that gives us a flexibility to be able to position ourselves so that we could be in the safer zones to service the tankers, for example. The technology we use, Colleen, is you've probably heard of it numerous times. It's old, tried, true, and tested technology. What we did is we taped that technology and shrank it and containerized it and put it into a plug and play type format so that we could make barges quickly, we could service them quickly, and we could have a very small footprint to really make them very mobile. We use selective catalytic reduction, SCR. It's the same thing that's used on diesel trucks today to control diesel NOx. We have diesel particulate filters. We have a very big one compared to what's on trucks today. And then the reg required us to also do reactive organic gases, which is a bolt-on or a catalyst that's added to the SCR system. Our system fits in 3 20-foot containers. Each container does, as you can see, we have the PM, and then we have a heat exchanger system, and then the NOx containers. So again, the containerized, so plug and play. If you don't need PM, we can do that. If you don't need NOx, you don't need that box. That's a concept to make it a little bit more versatile across different technology sectors. We get over 90%, in fact, probably get closer to 95 and sometimes 97% control of NOx, PM, diesel PM, and raw reactive organic gases. So next slide, please. So where have we been? We started with your grant to make the first barge. And I say because, and at about that same point, we got our CEO, Mike Walker, came on board, and he was very well connected with the financial world. And with the grant and then the ability to show that we have a barge and built and that the regulatory agencies thought highly enough of our technology to give us the grant, that really started the ball rolling. We had some credibility now. And so Mike was able to go out and secure some financing, and through his efforts and his expertise and experience and pull together a really good board for us who is well versed in financing as well. We end up now today, we have 5 barges. We have 3 operating in LA Long Beach. We've got 1 operating in Port Hueneme and another one operating up in Benicia. We are almost, I think, this time next month, we will have barges 6, 7, and 8. We're not terribly creative with our names. It stacks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But we will have 8 operating barges by the end of the month. We have executive orders. The regulation requires our technology to be certified to operate on the different types of vessels we have, which would they say they issue an executive order giving us that status. The executive orders, we have executive orders for container vessels. We have them also for auto carriers. Our executive order is under consideration by the staff as we speak for the tanker. It's a subcategory of the tankers. It's not the one with the boilers. The smaller tankers actually often don't use boilers. They use multiple auxiliary engines instead. And we have that under the wraps. We have grown from myself and Bob to over 100 employees. And we have contracts or service agreements with over a dozen fleets, both tanker, ro-ro or auto carriers and containers. And our 5, soon to be 8 vessel fleet has treated more than 12,000 hours of at-berth emissions. And I think we don't do the Moyer count. We just add the PM and the NOx and the ROG together. I think we're up over 400 or 500 tons of controlled emissions at this point, and many more to come. Next slide, please. So as part of the grant was technology forcing, which was good for us. We've partnered, or I guess we've purchased a fuel cell, a methanol fuel cell from a company, a maritime company, to put as part of the demonstration unit on the barge, that the funding barge Stacks 1, our first barge. That fuel cell is in process right now of being factory acceptance testing and should be ready to go to be sent out to our barge and put on the barge in the next couple of weeks. The interesting or the nice part about that is methanol, if we can get it, the methanol can be made green where it actually has 0 carbon footprint or a neutral carbon footprint. And this will allow us to operate at a much smaller carbon footprint than with our barges. Because right now we use Tier 4 diesel gen sets, the cleanest you can get out there and to power our system. And methanol fuel cell will add to that, and we'll reduce our carbon signature, as well as our emission signature, because we won't run the engines as hard. In addition to that, as on Wednesday, we completed our first demonstration of carbon capture technology that we're putting on there. we partnered up with a company called Seabound. They're out of the UK, and they have a really novel system where they've separated the capture part from the regeneration part, or the regenerating the sorbent into and capturing the CO2, which is really important for our technology because we don't have a lot of room and we don't have a lot of power on our barges. So what this does is it's very low power. It captures the CO2, and it's containerized, which fits into our business model. And they take a container of their sorbent and they'll take it off and then treat it onshore on land, which allows them to use green energy to regenerate it, allows them to be close to wherever if they need to sequester it or and things like that. So it gives a much more flexible approach to what we did. But we ended up getting close to 95 or 99% capture efficiency on the unit on Wednesday. And I think we got close to that on a second test we did yesterday. They said 6 to 8 of our barges are nearing completion, should be ready to go by the end of the middle of next month. We secured funding, a big round of funding in February, I think $70 million to build out up to 11 barges this year. So we'll be up and running 11 barges up and down the state to assist with the needs at different ports in the state. We're also looking at ports internationally and other ports in the U.S. We have some promising leads in a port in the UK, which we might be able to ultimately have a barge operating out there, hopefully by the end of the year. The next slide, please. So again, I can't emphasize enough that we didn't get any traction until we got this grant. And because of this grant and because of your faith in us, we ended up now we'll have a fleet of 11 of these things running next year and ultimately probably 20 to 25 in the state by 2027. So thank you very much. I'll take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Randall. That was great news to hear, and kind of going back to 2021 and hearing about a technology committee and what we invest. It's always a risk reward scenario. Not everything always works out the way we would hope, but many do. And this is a great example of that success. So we really appreciate you coming back and sharing the journey and what is on the horizon ahead with potential international implications. You had mentioned the 12,000 hours of vessel at-berth emissions, and in a reference to 400 to 500 tons of emissions. In working with staff, if there are any clarification on the emission reduction implications of these efforts?
Is that for me?
Or staff, just trying to further clarify the overall environmental benefits of these efforts.
Oh, okay. You want me to jump in on that one? So the benefits of we are in response to the carbon regulation. We are one of the tools that a fleet can use to achieve the emission reductions that are going to be put forth in their regulation. So anytime a vessel uses whatever technology they choose, then those emission reductions are part of the overall state implementation plan. And so I'm not sure if I can give you quantities or numbers, but that's the reason that I think what's helped us is that when they're in the amendments, the auto carriers were brought in this year. They were not being controlled until this year. And several of the auto carrier fleets have chosen us to use to clean their emissions. And the tankers are pulled in Southern California, LA Long Beach this year, and then the rest of the state comes in 2027. The reason we're building so many of these things is there's a huge change in the market. Because of those auto carriers being pulled in and the tankers being pulled in, there was a big chunk of emissions that were going to be controlled. That was what the ARB decided went and got those additional emissions. We are part of that whole reduction, and it is significant, substantial. The tankers were, I think, second or third largest source of the secondary containers, but they weren't pulled in the original reg because there was no technology available at that point to control their emissions. The capture and control was seen as an opportunity to do that. And because of that, there's a huge chunk of emissions that won't be out there anymore because the technologies and because of your grant has helped the technology mature to the point where that will happen.
Thanks, Randall. I'll open it up to any other questions or comments from colleagues.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I might, do you contract with the port, the terminal operator, or the vessel owners?
Yes, all three.
All three?
Yeah. So the reg, one of the amendments in the reg was to bring more responsibility, spare the I don't spare the pain's the wrong word, but to spread the responsibility. And so we do have contracts with terminals. We also have most of the contracts are with the fleets. And then I think the ports, not necessarily contractors, but they put us on an approved vendor list so that if folks come in, they can do it. So
it's really either the terminal operator or the vessel owners.
It's mostly the vessel owners. Partly because that's the way the reg was developed originally, and so they haven't quite learned the new nuances of it yet. But we do have several. I'm trying to remember how many, a couple, at least 3 or 4, with terminals themselves, where the terminals thought it was better for them to contract directly with us instead of relying on their customers to contract with us, because the reg was rewritten to say, if the fleet does not do what it's supposed to do, the reg says the responsibility falls to the fleet, to the terminal, and to the port. So all three are caught in the thing. So some of the terminals, I think, just felt a little more comfortable with being in control of being able to say, we have a technology, you have to use it.
I agree with that. It ought to be the terminal operators. But second question, you're using methanol fuel cell. Is that because methanol is more available than hydrogen?
From my thoughts on that were that, I mean, hydrogen could be done. I think methanol, for this first demonstration, it's easier for us to deal with a liquid fuel. The hydrogen fueling was a little trickier for us. And so to minimize complexities, we went with the methanol. There's also a big move afoot in the marine world to use methanol as kind of a clean fuel.
Right.
It's one of the ones that's leading the charge. So it kind of fit well with us to say, well, if the ships are using it, it should be pretty easy for us to get it eventually, right?
Right.
So that was the concept. I mean, we could have easily done hydrogen. It's just we wanted to avoid those complexities out of the gate.
Yeah, methanol seems to be more available.
It just seems the shipping industry seems to be gravitating there faster. And with that huge market pull, the fuel will be much, I think, more readily available sooner.
Thank you.
Thank you for those questions, Mayor. Any other comments, colleagues? Okay, and do we take any public comment on this report, staff?
Yes, and we have one hand raised, Ranji George.
Okay, great. Let's go ahead and do that, please. Hello, Ranji.
Hello. Hello, board members, and thank you for this time for me to comment. My name is Ranji George. I'm ex-DOA employee. I would ask one question on the speaker. Are there multiple stacks on these ocean-going vessels, or just one stack where all the boilers go, the exhaust is through one stack, so you can easily capture it from one stack? That's one question. Secondly, it's a long-term question for the board to consider. Can we consider using AQMD funds as a wealth fund like Norway and Saudi Arabia as wealth funds? They place equity interest in promising startups. 9 out of 10 are written off, but 1 does well. And the money that generated can be used to fund other technology projects. This was a proposal I had supported a long time ago when I first joined in 2000, in 1990 or so. So I would recommend board to reconsider that to see if you can turn this AQMD funds into wealth fund, so that such encouraging technologies can be supported in the future, and from the money generated you can support other technologies. Thank you.
Thank you. And see if staff maybe can field that question.
So the answer is there's multiple stacks. And our system was designed to treat multiple stacks. And so we're actively involved with CARB right now and getting approval to do multiple stacks on different vessel types.
Thanks, Randall. Do we have any other public comment?
Yes, we have one more public comment, Harvey Etter.
Okay, we'll go ahead and take that. Hello, Harvey.
Hi there. Being heard?
Yes, yes, please go ahead.
Yes. Howdy. My name's Harvey Etter. I'm speaking for myself from Public Solar Power Coalition. Basically, we're against carbon capture and sequestration. It's a crutch for fossil fuel industry to continue, and the competition is father son. The Native Americans, father son, Mother Earth. Okay, the sun. Aluminum foil costs a penny, 2 pennies a square foot. Okay, the aluminum cans for collectors, you can get cancer, you get thousands of degrees from aluminum foil reflectivity, 85, 95%. Okay, this stuff has not been looked at, it's been ignored, and enough's enough. We don't have to do this stuff. We can move away from this and we can breathe free again. We got to put on our thinking caps, we got to work together, and anyway, enough said for now. Just beating our heads against the wall. Nobody listens. It's simple stuff. We got a 6-foot dish off a Korean vessel in 1981, and we lined it with aluminum foil. We're firing up 2x4s.
I would encourage you to please stay on topic. This comment should be about the presentation we just received.
Lady, these are alternatives to carbon capture and sequestration. All right? Straight up. It can be done. And enough of purging the people. Enough of y'all.
Yeah, I think that was the conclusion of that comment. So any other public comment?
No further public comment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll bring it back, and again, I want to thank today's presentation. Randall, I appreciate the update and what Stacks Engineering continues to do, as noted in the staff agenda report. Again, the exhaust capture system and purification units on the barge reduce NOx, PM 2.5, and reactive organic gases by 90%. So clearly the thinking caps have been on collectively, to say the least here. Appreciate the presentation, and we'll look forward to future updates and much success. Thank you, Randall.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll move on to other business. Any other business, colleagues? Seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. Do we have any public comment on any items that are not on the agenda?
No hands raised.
Okay, we'll go ahead, and that'll conclude our meeting today. Our next meeting will be Friday, May 16th, 2025 at noon. I want to wish everyone a great Good Friday and wonderful Easter celebration this weekend. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you.
Wish everybody a blessed weekend. Thank you.